Hey everyone, welcome to Gear and Grit. Thanks for watching this video. So how do you start prepping for SHTF? And what happens if there's an imminent grid down or there's a threat? I'm going to talk about this newly published NBC article about how Chinese hackers have infiltrated our infrastructure and are ready to take our grid down, and also how you can protect yourself. So please keep watching. So let's jump right into this article, February 7th, 2024 on NBC News. So Chinese hackers spent 5 years waiting in U.S. infrastructure ready to attack agents. Chinese hackers have at times secretly hidden in U.S. infrastructure for up to 5 years, ready to conduct a potentially destructive cyber attack if the two countries were to go to war, federal agencies said. The claim was published in a public cybersecurity warning, one of the largest and starkest of its kind, from 6 U.S. agencies, as well as allied cybersecurity and intelligence agencies from Australia, Canada, New Zealand, and UK. So basically, what they're saying is the Chinese have infiltrated and are sitting in wait in our critical infrastructure, ready to take us down should we ever decide to go to war or have some kind of major conflict with China, including Taiwan, which the US has said it would come to Taiwan's aid. The report doesn't name any specific victims, but said the PRC, state-sponsored hackers, have targeted key infrastructure, primarily in communications, energy, transportation systems, waste and wastewater system sectors. So pretty much anything that matters. And the other thing that's worth noting is how stealthy the hackers' tactics are, making it difficult for owners of infrastructure companies to know that they've been hacked. So, in other words, there could be hundreds or thousands of companies of all kinds who have no idea that Chinese hackers have infiltrated them and are sitting waiting to attack. This is obviously very concerning, and it ends with last week, FBI Director Christopher Wray said that the same hacking campaign show how China's hackers are positioning on American infrastructure in preparation to wreak havoc and cause real-world harm to American citizens and communities, or if or when China decides the time grid down situation. What do you Okay, that's one scary article, especially backed up by the report published by the 6 agencies and our international allies. I mean, it sounds like if we even attempt to threaten China, they're going to take our grid down, and it's going to be really bad for us. If the grid went down for even a week, how bad that would be. Like, I'm not saying it's the end of the world, but no power and no communications, it would be a miserable week. But what if it went down for 2 weeks or 3 weeks or even longer? That's what I was thinking about after I'd read the report in more detail. And frankly, this is something I've been thinking about for a long time. So I want to talk about the things that you can do to protect yourself. There are the obvious ones, but the biggest one that you want to protect yourself against is normalcy bias. What do I mean by that? It's when you think everything is going to be just fine, even when you know there are threats on the horizon. I totally admit it. It's the biggest challenge I always struggle to overcome. I don't want to know that there's shit about to hit the fan or there's a grid down situation. I have a son who's 7 hours away in college, and I'm thinking if the grid went down, how would I help him? How would he help himself? These are things that I think about. So let's go through these ways that you can protect yourself if the grid goes down. Number one, water. You This is probably not new to you if this is a subject that you've been following for some time. I religiously buy 2 to 3 gallons of 1 gallon water, and I store it underneath uh, the stairs in my basement. It's a cool, dry place, and I have a lot of water. And I also have tanks of water that you can buy, and I store it under beds. I'm also ready to fill up bathtubs if need be, but you've got to have water to survive. Number one, above all else, you need water. Food, like white rice, canned food, dried food. Um, Buy as many cans as you can and store them away in a pantry or somewhere dark and cool, right? Cans of salmon, tuna, chicken, all of those things. I can tell you that most of my friends think I'm nuts. Again, I think they're really suffering from normalcy bias. And should anything ever bad go down, I've bought enough for my family and I've bought enough for some friends that would last maybe a week. But after that, I don't have enough storage area, and I've spoken enough about this over the years that if they haven't done anything about it now, there's not much more I can do to help them. But I will be able to help them for about a week. Good close friends of mine. So let's talk about a few other things that are really important that you want to focus on. Okay, next is light. Now, depending on what kind of grid down situation it is, if it's a EMP attack, you're going to need Faraday bags. I would buy them on Amazon and put your most important electronics in there. Things that you would need if the grid were to go down: flashlights, batteries, walkie talkies, that kind of stuff. If maybe you even buy a burner cell phone and put it in there. It's a small pocket computer that you can store things on, so worthwhile thinking about. Light. You want to have light. And again, having flashlights is good, having batteries is good, but again, if it's an EMP attack, you want to have candles. And I would buy the big fat candles with a wide base, right? And then buy some glass jars that you can put them in so that they sit safely in there, and not you don't want to use the long thin candles that could flop over and potentially cause a fire. That would be disastrous, of course. So backup candles like that are really good. You don't want to end up sitting in the dark all depressed. It's going to be bad enough. So you want lots of light around you, make people feel better. And obviously, if you have a fireplace, get as much wood as you can, aged wood now. It doesn't matter what time of the year this is that you're watching this. You may be watching this in 2025. Hopefully, you're watching this in 2030 and you don't have to worry about it, right? Because it never happened. Perhaps. Let's talk about heat and staying cool in the summers. Trying to stay cool is going to be a challenge, right, if there's no power. But light clothes, light fitting clothes, and as much water as you can get. I would also think about buying some coolers and storing ice in those coolers. There are some coolers that work really well and can store ice for a very long time. I want to mention about cold. There is a product called Mr. Heater. You can buy different sizes of indoor Mr. Heaters. They can be used inside to warm up the inside of your house. I have two of them. I also have small tanks of propane, and then I have a nozzle that fits into a regular size propane tank as well. Get yourself a carbon monoxide detector just in case. You don't want to play around with that. It'll give you really good heat, but there's so many warnings about carbon monoxide poisoning and people dying. Just get yourself a carbon monoxide detector as well, just so you can sleep well at night. And then I want to go back to communication. The final thing that's super important. I mentioned my son is 7 hours away in college. If the SHTF were to go down, I could not sleep at night knowing my son was 7 hours away. He has a bag. I don't know that I'd call it a bug out bag, but I've made him a bag with a lot of really important gear in it that he would need if he needed to go mobile, get out of his apartment that he shares with two other students, two of his buddies. He's got that. But if he tried to get home to our home, 7 hours away, that would be very challenging. And I would want to be able to communicate with him. So I have bought two devices, two Zolios. They connect with your cell phone and with satellites. And if the internet were to go down and cell phone coverage were to go down, we could use satellites to communicate. However, if it's a low orbit EMP, it's not going to work unless some of the satellites are not knocked out, because they say a low orbit EMP would knock out all the satellites too. So it's the best thing that I can do. It's insurance. Yeah, I pay the monthly plan. It's $30 a month, but I sleep really well at night knowing that he has that and we can communicate. If everything were to go down, we have a meeting spot halfway between where he is and where we live, and we have a definite place that we would meet. And if it took a day or 2 days or 3 days to get there and meet and then get him home, great. And then finally, talking about EMP, there are devices that you can buy to install in your vehicle that will protect them from an EMP blast. More on that on future videos, but I'm going to end it here. I hope you found this information of use and of some value. If you have, I would really appreciate a like. If you want to know more about what I'm doing and what I'm planning and how I'm preparing, and you enjoy EDC, let's not all be doom and gloom. I'm a big EDC guy, and I've got lots of EDC, and I want to share it and what I think has been really good and what I think has been junk. I talked about the Gerber dime. You can watch it here, maybe, or here, wherever the video appears. Watch that, and I'll be sharing a lot of other videos. So think about subscribing as well. And finally, if you've got ideas or comments, would love to start a conversation with you in the comments section. Thanks so much for watching. Really appreciate it.